Hello everyone, Joe here from Snake Draft FPL, and welcome to a new weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. In this series, we'll dive into 2 fixtures each game week to try and find some players you can pick up for this week, game week 7, that can score you some points. If you find this useful, please do hit the subscribe button and like the video, as it really does help us grow the channel. I'm joined today by Nick from the Snake Draft League, who is at the FF Noodle on Twitter, who's going to talk through the picks with me. The fixtures we look at might not be the Super Sundays, but they are the fixtures that will have free agents in your draft leagues. The 2 fixtures we're going to have a look at today are going to be Burnley versus Norwich and Wolves versus Newcastle. Without any further ado, let's get stuck into the first fixture. Right then, first fixture up is Wolves versus Newcastle. Pick this one mainly because both of them are pretty atrocious at the back and pretty good offensively. Newcastle total shots 7th in the league, and Wolves are 5th for total shots. Newcastle also have the 2nd highest big chances conceded, which just goes to show how bad they are at the back. Only Norwich have conceded more big chances than Newcastle. More on that later. So let's just start off with how do you see this game going, Nick? What do you see happening in this one?
Well, I quite like Newcastle. I had Callum Wilson in one of my Football Manager saves, and he scored like 30 goals for Bournemouth. So I have a bit of a soft spot for Newcastle, and the city's lovely. They play like attacking football because they don't really have a choice to do it defensively, because defensively they're just terrible. They definitely have. I reckon, arguably going forward, they have a good amount of players who have similar skill sets. Obviously, with Saint Maximin being the talisman player, sort of having a free reign to do whatever he wants, and then Wilson, when he's fit, is just a goal scorer, out and out goal scorer. The fact that he scores goals, last season for Newcastle when they were just abysmal.
Yeah, agreed.
Just goes to show that he probably should be playing for a bigger club.
Agreed. I think the one thing about him being out is that it does give you a bit of an opportunity, maybe with Joe Linton. Now, I'm not Joe Linton's biggest fan. I don't think he's great, but if he's starting up front in this side, St Max is creating so many chances and getting them up the field so often, that chances are just going to fall to Joe Linton, and you'd expect him to at least knock in a couple off his shin. I mean, he's had 6 shots in the box so far already, and I think he's only played like 2 games in total, like 2 games worth of minutes. So I don't think he's the worst pickup this week if you're struggling for forwards, which I know a lot of people are, because obviously there are limited forwards in this game. So especially in the bigger leagues, I don't think he's the worst player to have sat first on the bench or even starting this week. I can see him getting chances. Then you've got the midfield. I mean, what's your take on sort of Willock, Longstaff, these kind of players that are playing in the central midfield?
I'd say Willock and Longstaff, but I quite like Almiron.
And Almiron,
yeah. He's from what I remember when I'm watching them, he's quite an attacking player, a bit like, say, Maximin, likes to dribble the ball and carry it forward. And I think he goes a bit under the radar.
Yeah.
From the other sort of mainstay of their players. So he's probably worth a pick up if he's there for a bit of a gamble, because he will start, or he will at least get a decent amount of minutes. And then you've got Willock, who's just coming back from an injury. I mean, you would probably pick him up because of the goal scoring he did when he went on loan there last season.
Yeah. You just hope he recreates a bit of that. I mean, he's not had abundance of chances yet, but he's one of those players that just sort of arrives at the right time, isn't he? And I think if he's free, he's always a decent pickup. They've got a half-decent fixture.
Yeah, I would agree. And then I don't really know Longstaff. I mean, he started their game this weekend, so he's probably, if he's there and available and you're desperate for players who are going to start, and he's probably worth picking up.
Yeah, I don't love the Longstaff pick. He had a couple of good chances, I think, this weekend, but generally, he doesn't advance as much as the others. And then on the Wolves side, obviously Jimenez will be picked in your league, so I don't really want to spend too much time talking about him. Because you're just not going to get him on the waivers unless you're in like a 4-man league. But then they've brought in Hwang. Obviously started today, looked pretty good, scored that goal off the bench on his debut. He's got 1.3 XGI in about 2 games worth of minutes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, actually. That's pretty high in the amount of minutes he's played. Looks pretty promising, and I would have thought he'll start again next week, just because of the way they're playing with him.
Well, they have Wolves are quite a bit like Newcastle going forward. They have quite an abundant sort of attacking wingers or sort of like attacking forwards. Obviously, they've got like the main man Jimenez, but then they've got Podence and they have Wang. So
Trincao, Traore.
Trincao, yeah. I just remember, and obviously they've got Pedro Neto to come back, who's absolute baller. And saved me last season. I didn't have any.
When he comes back, I think he's a definite. He's one you want to look out for when you start hearing rumbles that he's starting to get back in training and stuff. And get him in and sit him on your bench for a few weeks.
Him. And then obviously you've got their fullback Semedo, who he's not he's a fullback, but like he's a very attacking fullback. He's always getting in the box, so it's quite
Semedo lives in the box. I mean, every time you watch them, he's had 5 shots in the box in 5 games, which for a wing back is crazy. And like he's one of those players that when you're playing against someone that owns him, it's just a nightmare, like in a head-to-head league, because every time you see him, you're like, oh my god, he's so far forward. That can be a nightmare. And on the wingers like Traore, Trincao, Podence, like I think they're all pretty good picks if they start, especially in a fixture against Newcastle. I wouldn't really want to keep any of them long term unless Traore gets a bit of form. Then he's the one that maybe could pull away. But again, in this fixture specifically, for this week, if you pick one that starts, you're onto a winner, I think, because they're going to. I mean, Newcastle just bleed chances. Whoever that is, I think I would like to say, well, Podence started today, Traore started, and Trincao started the previous games. So it's a bit of a gamble. If there's like press conference news that one of them's out or one of them's going to start, I would probably jump on them if they're free. Because they're all going to get chances, aren't they, in this game? I mean,
well, it's whether Traore can finish his chances, can't he?
Yeah,
can beat a defender easily and then put it wide if he's going 1-on-1 with the keeper. So maybe if you can try and get, maybe he wouldn't be at top of my list.
No, he wouldn't be at the top of my list either. I think Podence is probably the one I'd rather have if I was confident he was going to start. I mean, he played quite well today, so maybe he will retain his spot. Because he, I think, is the one that has the ability to finish his chances, and Trincao as well, to an extent. Like he's more of a footballer. Okay, the next fixture we're going to talk about is Burnley versus Norwich, and I picked this mainly because, only because Norwich are easily the worst defence in the league, probably the worst team in the league as well, but they are definitely the worst defence in the league. 16 goals conceded, which is worst in the league, and an XG conceded of 13, which is also the worst in the league. They're particularly poor down their left-hand side. You see a lot of right wingers playing against them do very well. Jesus, Pepe in previous games have both done very well against them. So I basically look at who they're playing and think, can I pick anyone up from this team? And Burnley are playing them this week, which is actually sounds like a bad, like no one I really want, but that means they've got players free on the waiver generally. So it is one to target. Obviously, the best option is Chris Wood, like by miles. Like it's not even close. But you would have thought will be gone in most leagues.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick up any Burnley player, Chris Wood is probably the first one and only one who should really spring to mind. Apart from maybe their centre backs, if you're looking for that. Tarkowski or me are generally pretty good. I'm pretty sure you've got me, don't you, in our league, Joe?
I did have me. I dropped him last week, I think. But I did have him recently. But Wood is going to be gone. If he's not gone, it's a great week to pick him up. I can't see how he won't score in this game, to be honest. Like, he's very clinical and he is going to get chances because Norwich are just so bad at the back. Like, there is a clown show. The other player I like, and the other main attacker that I think will have a good week is McNeil. And McNeil especially because he's done nothing so far. I think he'll be free in most leagues. He's free. We're in a 12-man league. He's free in our league. He might not be by the time this goes out because the waivers go tomorrow morning. But he's free at the moment, mainly because he's playing on the right and Norwich's left-hand side is very, very weak. Like almost all the chances they concede come down their left. So McNeil will be attacking that space. He is very creative. Created 10 chances so far, 2 big chances. I think if anyone's going to get an assist for Wood, it's probably going to be McNeil. And he's a tricky player, isn't he? He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah, I was just thinking that he's probably a bit wasted at Burnley, considering he's a tricky, like, attacking player, and I think his skills are probably a bit wasted there.
Yeah, he's their only creative player, really, isn't he? I mean, that's just not how they play.
Yeah, I think he's good.
But yeah, I think he'll create chances this week, and if Wood's on form, I can see that combo working well. The other like, if you're really stuck and you just need a forward, Vidra or Barnes, if you pick the one that's going to start. I mean, it's been Barnes most of the time, but Vidra started this weekend. So if you're in a bigger league and you think I could really do with a forward this week, whoever starts out of them, you would have thought will have a decent amount of involvement. If it is Barnes, I mean, Barnes has much higher expected goal involvement, almost a whole XGI more than Vidra. He has played a bit more. But Barnes, I mean, he's the same player he's always been, isn't he, Ashley Barnes? I mean,
it's like, it's only so much you say. And if you're gonna pick up any of their players, it's got to be one of the strikers that they have, Wood if possible, like we're saying, or McNeil, or one of the centre backs. And if you go over to Norwich, you avoid them at all costs. I think they're a championship team with championship players.
Agreed. I think Pookie maybe might score a few goals.
Maybe. But I think there's better options out there. Like, just because he starts doesn't mean there's a higher chance he's going to score because he starts, but like, he just doesn't have the team behind him. I mean, there are some like all right players, but just as a whole, it's a sweeping statement. It's just not a good team.